The final day of Star Wars Celebration kicked off bright and early with the Bad Batch panel, which gave us a big announcement and some footage to go with it. So here I'll be continuing my coverage of Star Wars Celebration with the panel. I'll be covering everything we learned from Star Wars Celebration this weekend, both with individual videos and an overall summary of everything later next week, so stay tuned for all of that. It was announced that we will be getting a third and final season of the Bad Batch, coming sometime in 2024. My guess would be summertime. We know The Acolyte will be the first series in 2024, so the Bad Batch would possibly follow that, and it would make it roughly a year in between each season. The first season began in early May, and then the second in early January, so if we're sticking to that time frame of 8 months in between, the third season should premiere on August 4th. I'm just going to call that right now. Given where we ended Season 2 at, I think many fans assumed we'd get another season, but it's still nice to get the confirmation. Although it wasn't as popular of a series, Star Wars Resistance ended suddenly after 2 seasons and never got to finish the story it was telling, so it's good that the Bad Batch will get one last season to wrap up these various storylines. And who knows, we may end up getting another animated series after this one wraps up. This last season will probably focus on the Bad Batch more than anything, and then I think a series centered around Rex and Cody is definitely a possibility, where we focus on them after the rise of the Empire as they go out and rescue other clones. It would probably have to be set a while after the Bad Batch, just to make the storytelling worthwhile, but it's something that I know many fans would be into. We're finally getting more and more stories told away from the Skywalker saga, and I'm grateful for that, but there's a reason we've spent so much time in this era. Fans love these characters and these stories. Another possible option following the conclusion of this series would be one centered around Luke Skywalker after Return of the Jedi. This is personally the one that I would pick. Luke's always been a favorite character of mine, and while his story during this 30-year gap between films has been touched on slightly in books and comics, there are so many more stories that can be told here, between him training Leia, traveling the galaxy, searching for Jedi artifacts and temples, training a new generation of Jedi, and searching for Ochi and this new power rising. And animation would make the most sense as to not have to deal with de-aging or recasting any of the original characters, like Luke, Leia, Han, or Lando. So we got official confirmation of another season, but that was not all. Those in attendance were given exclusive viewing access to the first trailer for the Bad Batch Season 3. The footage begins with a variation of Emperor Palpatine's shuttle arriving on Mount Tantiss, the Imperial cloning facility where both Omega and Crosshair are currently held captive. Palpatine addresses Dr. Royce Hemlock, emphasizing how important it is for the facility to remain secure. Omega is shown wearing an Imperial-esque uniform and sporting a new haircut, which is followed by quick shots of familiar faces, including Ming-Na Wen's Fennec Shand, Nala Se, and possibly Captain Rex. As the rest of the Bad Batch mounts a mission to save Omega, Hunter says, "Omega's been waiting for us. I'm not making her wait another day." The trailer cuts to Omega and Crosshair in jail cells, with Omega saying, "I'm not giving up, Crosshair. I won't leave you either. You're my brother." However, he only replies with, "I'm not them." Additional footage reveals plenty of action and new, threatening creatures, as well as a darker, more sinister tone. At one point, Wrecker appropriately asks, "Why is there always a huge monster?" The trailer ends with Wrecker dropping a bomb inside of a Sarlacc pit that has taken hold of their ship, which is followed by an explosion. So there's a lot to break down here. It looks like we'll get more of Palpatine in the final season, with him coming to Tantiss, which I assume will be an even more prominent location. Omega is in an Imperial-esque uniform, which may mean that she's somewhat subservient to her newfound sister, Amiri Kar, and is at least willing to work with her and learn a bit. The new haircut also suggests another possible time jump, or a change in Omega's mentality that shifts her more towards an Imperial belief system and way of thinking. Both Fennec Shand and Captain Rex will be returning, which may also mean the return of Cad Bane and Commander Cody. With it being the final season, I don't know how many different focal points we're going to have, but it would be nice to see at least Cody once more, if we don't get any other series in the future with him in it. The Bad Batch seem to have learned of Mount Tantiss and its location as they mount a mission to rescue Omega. We get that short conversation between Omega and Crosshair, both imprisoned, and I assume this will lead to the restoration of their familial bond. But Crosshair's line that he's not one of them seems to be referring to her brothers, as if he's given up on himself for everything he's done. If he truly feels like he's at a place where he can't come back from, and he's done too many horrible things, I wouldn't be surprised if he sacrifices himself during the season as a way to forgive himself. I wouldn't mind it happening as long as it isn't too early in the season, because we're going to need to spend some time with him for it to hit nearly as hard as it did with Tech, and with it being the final season, it almost needs to be bigger and more emotional. And it also looks like we'll be getting a Sarlacc pit in the final season. Other than Tatooine, Sarlaccs were located on Felucia, Evorcia Prime, Pisana, and Vajrain, so we could be heading to any of these planets next season. Personally, I think it would be neat to see Pisana again, but I think any of them would work for the story and be interesting. The only thing is that it can't be the Sarlacc we're familiar with on Tatooine, since it sounds like here that Wrecker kills the beast with an explosion, but there may be more there. Let me know how excited you are for this final season in the comments below. Remember to like the video, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and check out all of my other coverage of Star Wars Celebration this weekend. Thank you all for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.